The PlayStation Portal is now turning 2 years old. It's one of the cheapest handheld gaming devices on the planet, but that statement comes with some heavy caveats. For example, there is no way for the average consumer to play games directly on the device. The whole concept here is remote access over the internet, either to an existing PlayStation 5 or via cloud gaming. So, with those caveats, is it still worth it in 2025 on this, its second birthday? Design-wise, the Portal was ahead of both its release and the competition. The pronged controller approach to the ergonomics not only makes this still the most comfortable handheld gaming device available, without the need of additional accessories, but have also now started to be copied by the competition. Just look at Asus and Xbox on their 2 new Xbox ROG Allies. The fact that the rest of the industry is cottoning onto and copying this design shows just how good Sony were in the design department. And it goes beyond just the controller prongs with this design. The sticks are easy to reach, far easier than on something like the ROG Ally, the original here from 2023. And the reason for that is the symmetrical design. On a controller that just sits in your hands without anything else attached to it, like a screen, the asymmetric stick design can be overcome. Even though personally I feel that I have symmetrical hands, symmetrical sticks therefore make more sense. But on a handheld gaming device, you don't want to be stretching too far on the left hand because it makes gripping the entire console much more difficult. Having both the controller prongs and the symmetrical sticks at that lower point than other handheld devices just makes using the Portal so much more satisfactory. You have a strong and sturdy grip, you can hold it in any form of position, and you don't end up with hand cramps or doing some crazy hand gymnastics to try and play your games while trying to keep the console in your hands. And the screen is another factor in that excellent design. The 20cm screen is the perfect size. It's a touch bigger than the 18cm screen that you get on the Asus ROG Ally. Yes, it's a touch smaller than the monstrous screen that you get on the Lenovo Legion Go, and way smaller than the, well, essentially giant tablet that Razer have offered more recently in a handheld form factor. But 20cm, or 8 inches for the American audience, seems like the perfect size. Just ask Nintendo, who did the exact same with the Switch 2. It's also the perfect aspect ratio at 16:9, which is exactly the same as your television. Which means when you're playing PlayStation games on this PlayStation handheld, the screen is filled completely with gameplay. At that 20cm size as well, the resolution choice of 1080p is perfect. Pushing higher resolutions on such a small screen is kind of pointless. The human eye simply cannot see it. Adding in 60 frames per second, which is again the maximum frame rate that most people have experienced with video games, is also superb. Whilst the screen is only LCD, Sony have tuned it beautifully here so that it offers a HDR-like vibrant image that looks fantastic to the naked eye. It makes playing games on this device an absolute joy. And this device has the full suite of feedback features that you get on the DualSense controller with the full-priced PS5. So not only is this design really comfortable to play, not only does this offer the DualSense capabilities, which is what so many of us have said is making PlayStation next generation through the PlayStation 5 era, but the visuals are exceptional. You are getting that full PlayStation 5 experience on the go through excellent design and execution. But as good as that design is, it matters not if the device doesn't work. So, what is the performance of the Portal like, especially considering that it doesn't run anything natively? Well, it's a mixed bag. And unfortunately, that is a comment that you're always going to hear with anything that relies on running off the internet. Heck, it's a mixed bag with Netflix. It's a mixed bag with Crunchyroll. There are times that I load the latter and it simply doesn't play a video because the internet is being the internet. So when you're asking that of video games, an active participation hobby, Whether that be local streaming from your personal PS5 or cloud streaming via Sony's own servers, some people are going to have an excellent experience, some people are going to have a terrible experience. My locally streamed experience for 2 years has been mostly awful. No matter what changes I make, things like new routers, port forwarding, static IPs, hardwiring the PlayStation 5, even changing network providers, the remote play experience on the Portal has been lesser than on any other device that I own. Phone, tablet, even that ROG Ally mentioned earlier, all remote play to my PlayStation 5 better than the Portal, PlayStation's dedicated remote play device. It's a lesser experience than the PlayStation Portable remote playing with the PlayStation 3 way back in 2009. But how is it a bad experience? Well, this is me trying to capture Ghost of Yotei footage for this video, and the Portal is connecting and disconnecting constantly, of its own accord. When it finally stays connected, it is a pixelated, laggy mess that is essentially unplayable. And it wasn't my connection. Speeds at the access location at the time were over 800 megabits per second down and over 100 megabits per second up. Far more than the 15 megabits per second that Sony recommends for a perfect experience. The most common issue I have encountered over the last 2 years is freezing. Randomly, mid-game, the visuals will freeze. There's no warning, as far as I can tell, no reason for it to happen. But multiple times through a single play session, the visuals will freeze, and they'll stay frozen for anywhere up to 10 seconds. That's very unplayable. It's also not a good impression of the device. I am a guy who both knows how to do all of these configuration changes and is willing to switch providers for a better experience. But I'm still not getting it. For the average consumer, it's simply too much to ask, and relegates the Portal towards that do not buy category. That's not to say that every remote play experience on the Portal that I have had is terrible though. The majority of my 100 plus hours in Palworld, as one example, were on the Portal. Gran Turismo gameplay has mostly been on the Portal. Quite a lot of Yotei has been. I have had excellent game sessions on this device. And in those moments, it makes perfect sense. It gives you the ability to play when you maybe wouldn't have that otherwise, or to take your PlayStation 5 experience elsewhere with you. And the fact that it is the PlayStation 5 experience, just in a super comfortable handheld form factor, means you aren't missing any features. Features that are set up like this, a Backbone 1 controller on my phone, is missing. But those moments, for me, where it works as advertised and really sells itself, have been the minority. The challenges and issues that I've mentioned, they've been the majority. And every time that those challenges have reared their head, that phone setup has then worked flawlessly. And for the first year of the Portal's life, that was the end of the story for me. But then in November 2024, the Portal received an update that allowed it to access PlayStation Cloud Gaming. And this, for me, changed the conversation around it quite drastically. Suddenly, at least if you live in a region where both the Portal and PlayStation Cloud Gaming is available, so sorry about that, Malaysia, you had an option to enter the PlayStation ecosystem for a price that even Nintendo should have been worried about. £199 for the Portal and £120 per year for the cloud gaming aspect, that comes with an inclusive library of games. And the huge thing, in my experience? Cloud gaming on the Portal, unlike remote play, is flawless. Suddenly, this handheld device had life far beyond its previous limitations. It performed as I expected it to out of the box. It had some of the greatest games of all time, such as The Last of Us, God of War Ragnarok, and Ghost of Tsushima, all running flawlessly on it, with no additional hardware required by me, and for over £150 less than just buying a PlayStation 5. And over the next year, that library kept growing. Every game added to the PlayStation Plus Extra and Premium libraries over the end of 2024 and the whole of 2025 was added to the Portal library to play perfectly via the cloud. My Portal had gained a lease of life that had been sorely missing from it previously. There were, and are however, still challenges, even with the positive impact that cloud gaming had. Foremost is that PlayStation Cloud Gaming is only available in 30 countries. And it took PlayStation from November 2024 to May 2025 to roll that Portal Cloud Gaming option out to those 30 countries. If you live in one of the other 165 countries worldwide, your only option to be able to use PlayStation Cloud Gaming on the Portal is to set up a PSN account for a supported country, purchase PlayStation Plus Premium in that country, and then use a VPN to place your Portal in said country to actually use the service you're paying for. Which, given the locked down nature of the operating system, isn't easy to do, and if you can do it, it's likely to introduce massive lag into your gaming sessions. So for most of the world, this bonus of the Portal just doesn't exist. For those who can access the cloud gaming, there are still challenges as well. Much like Xbox's setup before their idiotic price rise and restructuring of Game Pass, PlayStation Cloud Gaming is locked behind the highest paywall of PlayStation Plus, the premium tier that costs £120 per year. Not only is that annual cost a challenge at £10 per month, which, being fair, is £13 a month cheaper than Xbox now, but if you stop paying for that tier at any point, or lower your subscription tier, you will then lose access to half of the Portal's current selling points, and it once again becomes just a remote player. To give the device the legs that it has had for the past year, the price of the Portal increases by £120 annually. But that's not the end of the challenges. Hi folks, Editing Doragon here, and oh man, this is fun. As I was editing this next section, a section where I talk about missing features still from the Portal and things that I want to see that probably should have been there from launch and what have you, PlayStation went and released this, which kind of addressed every single point that I had in that section. So yeah, now you can cloud stream your owned games, your digitally owned games, to the PlayStation Portal, meaning you don't need a PlayStation 5 at all to enter the PlayStation ecosystem. This thing will do it all for you. You can just buy a Portal, pay for PlayStation Plus Premium, and then buy games via the mobile phone app or the web browser store. So it kind of nullified a lot of what I was going to say in this next section. There are factors in it that still matter, and I will do a more in-depth video on this cloud streaming of your purchased games and such in the future. But right now, there's about 6 minutes of video that's completely null and void, and I had edited about 5 minutes of it, so yeah. Big ups for doing it, PlayStation, but could you not have done it at the end of the month after I'd launched this video? I even had a bit in it to say that you might do this in the future. Best laid plans and all that. Anyhow, I'm still going to put a chunk of this section in the video because it talks about the speed of the updates that PlayStation are bringing to the Portal and how it being so slow is a challenge. So stick around and listen to that bit, but I'm going to take out the portion where I say you can't do something that now you can. Cheers, PlayStation. Now, there are rumblings and rumours about this feature that I'm asking for, saying that it will be added to the Portal in short time, possibly before the end of 2025. And if you're watching this video in the future, it may already be there. But that's still slow. And slow updates have been a big part of being a Portal owner since its launch. These updates to the Portal, these things that make the Portal better, are all slow to release. And while most of them are positive when they land, everything feels like it's coming to the device 6 months later than it probably should have done to keep the Portal relevant. But where does all this leave me after 2 years with the device? Is it a must-buy, a definite avoid, or something in between? There's nothing wrong with the device in concept, and the design of it is industry-leading. But in use, the Portal just feels like it falls short on occasion. Some of that is down to the idiosyncrasies of using a device over the internet. Sometimes it'll work flawlessly, sometimes it'll be really poor. But when I've got other devices that can remote play as well, at the same time, in the same environment, but better than the Portal, it really begs the question of whether the Portal has ever really had a true place in the PlayStation ecosystem. That being said though, my cloud gaming experience on it is so polar opposite to my remote play experience that it feels like a console in its own right when playing cloud games. Again, however, you're limited in that regard. You can only play the games that are on the game catalogue, and you can't play any of your owned games, which for the £120 fee per year to be able to play the PlayStation Portal that way is asking a lot of the customer when they aren't getting all of the benefits of that spend. It's not a parity offering with the PlayStation 5 version of cloud gaming, yet it costs exactly the same amount. Sony's updates are slow to the device. When they land, they're generally quite positive, and they do increase its usability and functionality. But waiting a year between each positive big update feels like far too long a gap that then makes the device feel forgotten about, much like the PlayStation Vita handheld before it and the PlayStation VR 2. The reality of the Portal is it's going to have a positive impact for a lot of gamers if they can get the remote play experience working well in their home or remote environment. But if they can't get that experience, if the setup that these people have will not allow the Portal to actually operate in its designed capacity, then it is a pointless piece of plastic with a screen in the middle. And that is the challenge of any internet-based hobby. If one little thing goes wrong, if something is not quite right, your entire hobby is impacted negatively by means wholly outside of your control. If you can control your environment and are in an area that offers PlayStation Cloud gaming, the Portal offers one of the best handheld gaming experiences available. Because, despite every challenge and negative that I have outlined in this video, I still use the Portal regularly. It offers me more chances to play games while still experiencing the PlayStation 5 feedback that immerses me even further in these worlds. My cloud gaming experience is so good that it means my partner and I can play at the same time despite only having one PlayStation 5 in the house. With better grips, a lighter weight and an easier user experience, I reach for the Portal ahead of the Ally and often ahead of the Switch 2 as well. Yes, I have challenges with it. And yes, I have complaints. And maybe I've focused on these more in this video than I have on the positives. But if you are looking to buy a Portal, you need to know what those challenges are. You need to know ahead of purchase what you are going to be facing. And if after hearing everything, when you've heard all my positives, my negatives, and this final take, you still want a Portal, then I have done my job well by arming you with that knowledge. I've let you know all of the pros, all of the cons, and still told you that at the end of the day, I reach for the Portal and really enjoy playing on it. At 2 years old, the PlayStation Portal is a complicated accessory for the PlayStation 5 to recommend, and it's still evolving, as too, therefore, will any recommendation. But personally, at this 2-year mark, I wouldn't want to go back to not having it. Because it just makes the whole remote play experience, the cloud gaming experience, and the PlayStation experience as a whole that bit easier and more versatile. This video was produced after 2 years ownership and use of a PlayStation Portal purchased personally by Doragon. Neither Sony nor PlayStation know that this video is being made. They do not get any copy approval or early preview of the contents. If they do see it, they will see it for the first time right alongside you. If you've liked this video, I think these will also be of interest to you. In the meantime, my name is Doragon. You can find me sparingly on socials at Doragon86, in the community tab on my YouTube channel, or daily in the Discord in the description. And until next time, folks, have yourselves a fantastic day. And take care.